Okay, so most of you that are seeing this video know me, but just in case you don't, I have 5 kiddos. We've been homeschooling for about 10 years. My kids range from age 6, first grade, all the way up to 9th grade, about to be 16. So we got to a point in our homeschooling where I was completely exhausted. And I was burnt out, didn't have anything else to give. My kids were not loving what we were doing. And so I actually put them into public school, 4 of them, for a year. And one of my daughters stayed home, but she worked completely independent. And so what God taught me through that season of having them in school was actually how much I loved homeschooling. So he was able to really refuel my passion for homeschooling. And I will tell you that the Good and the Beautiful language arts curriculum, well, all of their stuff, but the Good and the Beautiful language arts specifically was a hole that we had had before in our, learning, that I could not ever find something that was not so cumbersome for me, especially teaching so many levels. And this curriculum has breathed life back into our schooling. So this is probably our best year of homeschooling yet. And a big part of it has to do with this curriculum.
I like when we study poems and get to write our own poetry, and I also like when we study paintings from famous artists.
I like memorizing poems and working on the sight word ladders.
I like the reader, and I like that the lessons are challenging me to do more things.
I like everything about the language arts. It's my favorite school subject.
Okay, so one of my favorite things is that it is truly open and go. I do not have to do any prep, and that is amazing. So when I am working with so many kids on so many different levels, I don't have time to prep, and that was the biggest thing that I was getting bogged down in our homeschooling before, is how long it was taking me to prepare all the lessons, plus teaching and then grading everything. It was ridiculous. So this, I literally open it and read it, and half the time it says to you exactly what to read to your child, and we're done. The lessons are so simple, but the content is like, really, I have done a lot of different things, and it is by far the best content with the simplest approach of anything that I've ever used before. The other thing that I love is just, it's silly because that's the name, the Good and the Beautiful, but truly the beauty of what they're reading. Our kids they're hearing lessons in everything that they read, even if it's just a simple sentence that maybe they're diagramming. And with this curriculum, it's so well thought out that every single piece of it, even a sentence they're going to be diagramming or copying or a painting they're looking at, all of it is so just good for the soul. And so I love that that's what they're filling their mind with. Okay, one of my other favorite things is truly how independent they can be, but I am also very involved in each lesson. So it's really unique. I didn't want something that they was going to the computer, doing on their own, and I wasn't having any contact with them, because I wanted to see. We had quite a bit of holes for all of my kids in our language arts, specifically language arts, and then some of them with reading. And so I wanted to really be in touch with what they were doing every day. But the way this curriculum is laid out, I can give it to them. They can do each piece that they can do independently. They're reviewing a lot of things: poetry, sight word ladders, geography, different things like that daily. And then I just do their coursework part with them, and not even all of it with my older girls. All I do is just check over what they've done, and we just kind of discuss it. But that makes it so incredible. The other thing is just the independence and the critical thinking that it encourages. So for all of them, it was so neat. Some of the very first lessons were how to know if a book is worth reading. And that's something as a parent that I'm doing. I'm deciding whether a book is really great for them to read or not, but to give them the ability to analyze a book at 7 years old and say, this is really good for my mind and I'm going to keep reading this, or this is kind of junk reading and maybe I'll just read these occasionally for fun. I love that the work in the course book is actually giving them the ability to think about those things for themselves instead of me having to do that. All right, one of my other favorite things is the affordability. I mean, it is ridiculous how inexpensive that it is for all that you get. So just the language arts curriculum alone, they're covering poetry, they're covering fine arts, they're covering reading, spelling, geography, grammar. I think that's it. But I mean, that's like 7 things in one, and it's so affordable. Even the younger grades have the option to print some of the things that you'll need. And I will tell you, for me, because of what God put on my heart for our homeschooling this year, what I call more of a free schooling approach, where I didn't want to be a slave to the curriculum. I wanted to really make a curriculum work for me. This curriculum could not have been more of an answered prayer for me. So what I've been able to do is say one child who is better at spelling and still struggling with grammar, that kind of thing, I can actually pull lessons from several different levels and give it the best fit for her. So one of my daughters has already, she worked through level 1 because she needed to work on some basic things. She worked through that real quickly, and now she's on to level 2, which is where she really needed to be. But I didn't feel bad about doing that because I wasn't spending a ton of extra money, just because of being able to download what I needed. I also have another daughter who has struggled with reading for years, and it got worse in public school when she was she was really told that she wasn't a good reader. And now with The Good and the Beautiful, she's reading on her own. She's mastering the skills. She's moving ahead very quickly. So it has completely filled in all the gaps where she needed, and she feels successful. So that to me is the biggest reward. So we absolutely love this curriculum. Cannot wait to use more of it. We're about to order some science and our history. So thank you so much, Jenny Phillips.